You talk about things spreading like a virus. You obviously had the virus project, different things. So what was the idea for you of things generally speaking spreading like a virus?
Well, people say that I birthed a lot of rappers and stuff like that. And even to him, he took that, ran with it, made it, I guess, a career off of it. But a lot of people always say, man, I started rapping because of you. So the sickness is spreading.
Hmm, okay. And also Gurr references Eyes Wide Open, which is also a song on Kevlar. And as we talked about in our last set of interviews, that's something that you do sometimes reference.
Connect song connection. Yeah. I connect songs together and stuff.
So, so given that you hadn't put out an album in so long, and now that Kevlar is here, what made you want to redo or do that again? Why is that still important or interesting to you?
I used to like that, like rappers from the 80s used to do that. They used to bring back stuff that remind you of another song. So I kind of took it off that. I like connecting songs. That's why I had to make sure the songs were in the right order. You know what I mean? Eyes Wide Open had to come before it. So when I did bring it back up, might make a person even go back to eyes wide open and listen again and stuff like that. So I figured that's why they did it in the East Coast.
Yeah. Now that was one of my favorite things because listening to rap, when you can make those connections, it just gives you, at least for me, it just provides like a little, like you found a little puzzle that you weren't expecting, and it just brings like a little excitement or satisfaction. So,
My main point is to make the buyer or the streamer listen to the whole album because people don't do that no more. You know what I mean? Even I even saw an interview with Beyonce saying the same thing, but she was saying people don't make albums anymore for people to listen to all the way through. They just kind of throw songs together. And I am not that person. I don't
well,
just throw songs together.
that's what I was about to ask. So, you and Beyonce are obviously very different in so many different ways, but I think the thing that's interesting is that both of you have had careers that have lasted decades. You both have noteworthy, loyal fans, and you both are, among the best at what you do, and to some people, the best at what you do. That being said, my question is, given that so many people love you, love Beyonce, love people that still make albums, I do wonder when people say that because there are so many examples of people that are super popular or have super loyal fan bases that still make albums that people still want to hear a whole album. They don't want to hear a single here and there from Beyonce or from Brother Lynch Young. They want to hear the whole album. And I think to me, it's a bit of a presented in the media that way
Yeah.
as opposed to a reality thing because streaming is one thing, but I think the reality is if, whether Beyonce gets 50 million streams on a song and then the lesser songs get 25 million or whatever the numbers actually are, that's
Hmm.
still 25 million that listen to a song that's not a single, that's not a video, that's all these things. And
Yeah.
and I would imagine, I haven't looked at your numbers because that stuff doesn't matter to me as much, but I would imagine the less quote unquote the album cuts of your career, it's not like the big songs got 1 million and the other ones got 20,000. They're still getting listened to. So,
Yeah, it's weird like that, but thank you for saying that because I do make my albums hoping that they get the same amount of hits, but from different type of people. You know what I mean? Like I got the viral song, the song viral on the Season of the Sickness. That's for women and for people to throw it on TikTok, try to go viral. You know what I mean? Songs like that. But then I still come up with the storyline of the song. You know what I mean? So like I don't that's why it all just stems back to just going to get somebody to listen to the whole album again because people don't do that no more. I do it still.
So do
I
I.
listen from the beginning to the end. I never go to the middle or my favorite song because the single came out or nothing like that. I listen from beginning to end because to me, it's telling the story of that person's life in that time that they made the album. But I realize a lot of fans probably don't think like that. So
Yeah. But I think a lot of yours do, including me. So, but that's the beauty of being able to talk about all the different songs and then really digesting the music because there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people like us around the world that really want to hear this whole stuff. Like if I think the Beatles are still the most popular group in the world, and it's because everybody knows 50 of their songs, not their 10,
yeah,
not
yeah,
10, you know?
yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just different stuff that I always wonder about. But anyway, um, now what about with Bang Bang? Because that one, uh, I was very intrigued because you talk about being Charlie Manson but less violent. So break down, what did you mean by that?
Well, I don't. His mind was a little more violent than mine thinks. It's all about the mind, you know, the mind state. I would obviously not do what he did, but I feel we think alike. But after seeing a couple interviews, even this past year, I was like, okay, he's a little more advanced as far as that sickness in the mind stuff than I am. So I kind of put that in the rhyme.
Okay,
I'm just less violent in the mind than he thought,
right. And then what do
if
you,
that makes sense.
well, I was gonna say to explain because uh on the one hand, he's one of the most infamous people in the world for the violence that he initiated and participated in. And a lot of people would look at your music and be like, oh man, this stuff is so crazy. It's so violent, so wild. So, how are you able to separate and differentiate it in a way that maybe, from what you can tell, he wasn't able to, or other people don't look at like, oh, Brother Lynch's music is entertainment. It's not reality.
Well, people used to come up to me and ask me if I killed babies. So, I mean, over the years, they may have matured and it left it open for me to be able to say whatever the fuck I want. So, if that answers your question, mine, I think some people take it jokingly or whatever, and I'm able to get away with, you know, whereas him, everybody's gonna believe it.
And they have reason to.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So,
Yeah. And one of the ways you said you've matured and you talk about this, we mentioned this at the beginning of the interview and on Bang Bang and different thing. You talk about Garden Block and it's also mentioned throughout the album Kevlar a little bit, but the evolution and the reality of being able to move past that and leave that behind. Why is that something that you a want to do to acknowledge your history, but then also definitely let people know that that's something you're not doing anymore?
well, I don't want to say my age, but I'm pretty up there. And I think, I don't know, the mistakes I made in my life, I want to show them that I'm correcting them. You know what I mean? Everybody knows, obviously. You know, I was a Crip, and I still am. I'm always a Crip, but I can't do the same things that I was doing back then. You know, I found a career. So I want to let them know, you know, I matured, I've smartened up. You know what I mean? We need to stop the violence. You know what I mean? Anything I speak on violence, it's in the form of a movie. I write movies in my head. So, you know what I mean? They could critique badly about what I talk about all they want. I'm writing movies, so I wanted to let people know. They know I'm always gonna be a Crip, but I'm not out there active.